Alright, what's up guys, Azuri here, and today we are here for our monthly first impression of the new set, Moonlit Dragonfang, featuring support for Aquaforce, not Bermuda, Granblue, and Pale Moon. So without further ado, let's begin. I'll start off with Aquaforce just because this clan has the least amount of stuff, and it's the one that I know the most, so let's just start off with that. So Aquaforce got support in the form of Commander Zavas, Blue Storm stuff, and Ripple stuff, so go over the GRs first. So the first GR is the Commander Zavas. So his skill is, once it comes up, G Persona Flip. G Persona Flip to give one of your rear guards 5k power, and the skill is unit can attack from the back row, and then he himself also gets GB3 fourth wave, or fourth wave only. When your unit attacks the Vanguard, retire one of your points rear guards with priority to back row. So this card has one rule, one niche, and it is that it lets you do 4 attacks without having any enablers at all whatsoever. Because before, if you didn't have Basil or Dio, you basically couldn't do any 4th attack, you couldn't do anything. This stride basically makes it so that if you are missing your enablers, you are at least able to get off 4 attacks, which is pretty cool. Kind of sucks that the retire is locked by GB3. It's honestly a pretty bad skill for a GB3. But it's there, comes up if you decide to stride a second, because first stride GB1, second stride GB2, you flip, you're at GB3. So can't come up like that. So it's okay, it's not terrible, it's not amazing, it's kind of there. Will you play it? You probably will at probably 2 copies, definitely no more than that, because it is a G flip and you are fighting for space in your G Swim for Lambros, which is definitely still a 4-up in that deck. So thoughts on Zavas? He's okay, not terrible, not amazing. The other GR is the Tetra Boil. So his skill is second wave only. If you don't know what wave is, wave is basically just the number of attacks of that turn. So second wave means that the second battle of that turn. So his skill is on second wave is this unit can attack ignore Intercept, and the card can swing at Vanguard if even there's still Intercept on the board, which is pretty good. And the other skill is wave 1 to 3. So when this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you have a blue wave heart, CB1 and G flip to get neg 1 drive and the following ability on 4th wave only. At the end of the battle that your rear guard attacked the Vanguard, discard a card, stand this unit, and draw a card. So what this is basically meant to do is that on the second wave, when you swing at Vanguard, since it is between first and third wave, you can you gain the skill to restand on the 4th wave when your rear attacks the Vanguard. So what the combo for this looks like, it's usually like something into rear, this thing into Vanguard, you gain the skill, rear to rear, and then when your unit attacks the Vanguard, if you're on the correct heart, which is the Anger Boil, you stand 2 of your rears. So the first column that you swing with, usually it should be a column at least, the first column you swing with would hit into the rear. This thing hits, and then you would stand that column, the other rear would swing, that column would swing at Vanguard again, and then on that 4th battle, or on that 4th wave, you would use Tetra Boil's skill to stand itself and swing again. So yeah, that's a combo there. So this is definitely its own deck. This is definitely not going into the Zavas deck, because for one, this thing needs a blue wave heart, and for 2, you basically have to be on Anger Boil for this combo to even work, because you kind of really need some way to stand it, or you just have a 4th attack, which would also work. But yeah, it's nice that this card works without any actual enablers being Basil or Dia. However, I do think this deck is probably overall worse than the Zavas deck. It's nice that this is here, nice that it works without it, but you are required to sit on Anger Boil. Time will tell if this deck is actually better or not, but just from initial impressions, I don't think this deck is better. And this card, in my opinion, is only a 2-up even in its own deck. I still think Lambros is by far the better strat to go into, because even in that deck, you definitely just probably want to just like title board first stride, maybe use this once, and then just try Lambros as much as possible. So yeah, definitely not terrible by any means, definitely playable, but it's definitely in its own deck. And speaking of the heart that I was talking about earlier, what's his face, the Anger Boil, this is it. So his skill, GB2, is basically relevant. You basically never use this because it's basically unusable, because his skill is GB2. So when this card's added to your Vanguard, because you don't give the skill to your stride, it's its own skill. On second wave only, on hit to Vanguard, stand to rear, give that unit 10k. If you've noticed, second wave meaning your opponent has allowed to have a max of 1 intercept on the board to actually stand. So if they somehow only have 1 intercept, this might come up, but other than that, the skill basically isn't there. But the skill that is relevant is the stride bonus skill. When you're specifically the Tetra Boil strides on top of it, your Vanguard gets the ability second wave only. When it's using attacks Vanguard, stand 2 of your rears, Zenithal. On a second wave, this thing has to ignore intercept, meaning this skill will work. So yeah, see the synergy there? Yeah. They want you to use this card with this card. So so this card, and obviously then the on-ride plus 3k. So this card is good in the deck that it's in. It's the only thing you ever want to be on. But outside of that, this card is pretty mediocre. There's some Ripple stuff here too. That is also its own deck. I don't think it's particularly good, so I'll just gloss over them. I'll just mention them because they are there. Definitely a cheap, I say cheap, but realistically speaking, you probably still need Lambros in that deck, so there's limits how cheap it actually will be. But these are a cheaper deck you could be playing if you don't have all the full Lambros, so don't play it for fun. This is there as an option. And then finally, the other cards. So the Adeline is the Glimmer clone for Aquaforce. Her skill is, on play, if your Vanguard's a grade 3 or higher Zavas, Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1, she gets 2k, and once per turn when its unit attacks a Vanguard, stand it, neg 2k. So this card is, for all intents and purposes, a better Magnum Assault. That being said, Magnum was pretty doo-doo, because Magnum was basically just there to extend your kill turns, which I do not think the deck needed at all whatsoever. This card is definitely better than, what's-his-face, than a Magnum, but I don't think it's good enough to be played at more than 1, maybe 2 copies. So nice option to have. It's cool that she exists, but this card is probably not needed at all, to be perfectly honest. Maybe 1 copy, but that's it. And then for the blue wave deck, blue also got a new PG, which is a 3rd wave or more, and at the end of battle this unit boosted if your Vanguard is a blue storm, blue storm. Soul Blast 1, bounce it to hand. So you can use it as a booster, and then it goes back to hand, which is pretty cool. And then they also have this card, which I think is really good, the Bright Shooter, 4th wave or more. At the end of the battle, this unit boosted if your Vanguard is a blue wave. Choose any grade 3 in your drop and add it to hand. This card is really, really good because as long as your Vanguard is a blue wave, you can use this. It's not locked on GB or anything at all whatsoever. You don't have to grab a blue wave back to your hand. Blue wave grade 3 to grab to your hand anyway, so you could grab like a DA or something to enable combos and stuff. I think this card is really good. I honestly think this is one of the reasons of why you might want to try playing blue wave, just because I think being able to just being like a good +1 every single time that this card stays on the board and you get the 4th attack is really, really good. This unit, you don't even need to hit with it. You just need to boost this, and you just need to use him to boost, and you can grab something back. So really, really good card. I think this card is really, really good, and I think this is definitely the reason to play blue wave. So yeah, that's it for Aquaforce. There's a bunch of other cards. There's like a few other cards, but this card's Ripple support. Melania, I think her name isn't very good either. Foilbot's kind of whatever too, but yeah. So that's it for Aquaforce. Onwards to, let's do Granblue just because it's the other blue clan, just to get both the blue clans out of the way first. So first off, go over the GRs. Nope, not this one first. Go over the Night Rose first. Whoops, not you. Night Rose, I don't have any copies of this card, that's why it took so long to get there, but Night Rose, her skill is GB2 when this unit attacks a Vanguard. CB2, G-Flip 2, call a card from your drop zone to your front row and back row, so 1 front, 1 back. You can call it them where they don't have to be in a column, you can just call them wherever, and then she gets a crit. So this card is this deck's Olivia, basically a carbon copy of Olivia. Attack Vanguard, pay cost, call 1 front, 1 back, she gets a crit. So yeah, it's generic too. Anything go into this card, really good. No, you definitely will. If you have 4 of it, you probably do play 4 of it. Do you need 4 of it? I have no idea. But yeah, this card is definitely really good. Definitely the GR you want the most if you're trying to build in the Granblue from the set. So without a doubt, this is the card you want to be aiming for if you're playing Granblue. And then the other GR stride is the Bandit Rum. He's kind of whatever. He's your generic on hit stride. On hit the Vanguard, call a card from your drop zone, give 2k. It's cool. It's there. It's there. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. It's just kind of something you play. Max 2 of, definitely don't need for any more than 2. And then the other stride is the Obadiah, the ghost dude, the ghost king. So his skill is, on place, put any 3 cards from your deck into your drop zone. If you put 2 or more with the hollow ability, you can call a ghosty from your non-trigger ghosty from your drop zone to the same column as this card. I have no idea what ghosty triggers there are. I think there's like at least one in this set. There is indeed one in this set, Mick the Ghostian family. But he's the stand trigger, and his skill, just from quickly glancing over it, is not amazing, so I don't think you want to call it anyway. So just off the top of my head, the card you call this is Chappie, and Chappie lets you mill another card, which is pretty cool. So I think this card's really good, because it just lets you set your drop zone up completely all in one card. You just mill 3. You don't even need to mill 3 cards with hollow if you don't want to, because it does the only thing that milling 2 cards with hollow lets you do is call a card, and if you only need the card, then you can just mill 3 cards you want in your drop zone for later. So definitely a really good card. Sets your drop zone up really well. Really, really nice. And then for grade 3s, you have the Night Rose herself, the face of this clan in G. Her GB2 skill is once per turn. When your rear guard is retired, put 3 from the top of your deck in your drop zone to call that card. Actually, a functioning is GB2 just because hollow kills your cards at the end of the turn. At the end of the turn, your stride goes away, go right back to the G zone, discard your Vanguard again. They die from hollow, mill 3, call it back out, keep the card onto the board. Pretty nice, really good card. If you've seen the demo video, like they show off this card, GB2 in conjunction with the starter, the Wrench. The combo there is Wrench is hollowed, it kills itself, CC2s, this card calls it back. When it comes back, you hollow it off again, still your end phase, kills off again, CC another 2. So this card's GB2 plus Wrench is CC4, and it turns out pretty cool. So yeah, obviously there's other applications for this as well, but that's just the first one came off the top of my head that I can think of. And then her stride bonus skill is when you're using a stride on top of it. CB1, call a card from drop zone. Simple but good skill, because you just get to call 1 card. Just the +1 back to the board is pretty nice, and then the on ride plus 3K. So yeah, definitely a 4 of in her deck, obviously, because she's your main ride. No reason not to play any less of it than 4. So I don't think these double are particularly good, so I'll just skim over them. Actually, this guy's a rear guard skill. Probably is actually pretty bad, so we'll go over it. When this unit attacks, it hits a Vanguard. If this unit is hollowed, CB1 to call a card other than himself from your drop zone to a rear guard that he's not on, and then on place. Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1, check top 5, and add a card with a hollow ability to your hand. Oh, he's actually not bad. Yeah, this card's actually pretty good. I actually did not know what he did, but actually not bad. Thing is, he is fighting for slots for your other grade 3 slot, which I personally think, I haven't tested it yet, so I could be wrong. I personally think that the other slot should probably be negligible, just because he's an extra finisher in cases where you don't have 4 Night Rose, because let's face it, 4 GRs is very expensive. So I think negligible is pretty nice, just because he is he's an additional finisher, and the fact that he is also a Legion to help you not deck out if that ever comes to it. So fights for that slot, you could play either or. I have no idea which one you actually play, and until I get the Night Roses, I don't care to play this deck at all. So yeah, but on paper, this card looks pretty playable. And then grade 2s, I know this card is really good, the Colin Bard. So his skill is, when this unit attacks the Vanguard, if he is boosted, CB1, call a card other than himself from drop zone to a rear circle to anywhere. So yeah, he's the twin sword of the deck, if you want to call it that. Really good. He just calls a card. You can call this dude, which lets you reset. You can use him to reset his own call. Make sure you have a booster if you need it. And he is the Negro Lazy, so his skill is hollow, and then on play, Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or higher Night Rose, you can pay the cost. If you do, call a grade 2 or lower that is not a copy of itself. And then this unit gets 2k in the following ability. When this unit is retired due to hollow, soul charge 1, counter charge 1. So if this card dies to hollow, you can use the skill to refund the cost completely. And then if you're on GB2 Night Rose, you can just call him back onto the board to keep the intercept. So pretty cool there. Pretty good card. These 2 cards you definitely will play to some degree. How much you play? I think Colin Bard's definitely a 4 of. This card, I think you can Negligence, I think you can play around ratios, maybe 2, maybe 3, maybe 4, who knows. Another good grade 2 is the Skeleton Cannoneer. His skill is hollow, and then when placed from drop zone, if this unit is hollowed, you can CB1, draw 1, and then retire 1 of your points rear guard. So no restriction on what you're retiring. You can kill front row, you can kill back row. Really good card. No reason to not play it. How much you play? Again, ratios you can play around with yourself. Obviously, this deck can just tutor stuff into drop zone. So if you want specific things, you just put them in. So you can definitely play less copies of certain cards in your deck, because you basically always have access to them, which is really good. So yeah, this card itself is really good. And then finally, the other card is the Rambling Shade. GB1 hollow, GB1 on attack. You can mill 2 to give him 2k, and then GB1 during your opponent's turn. If you have 4 more cards with hollow ability in your drop zone, he gets 5k. So 11k attacker, potential basically almost always 14k intercept. So pretty good. This card definitely seems like the weakest of the bunch of these cards, but it's definitely still a playable card for sure. Grade 1s, I think this guy is an attack extender, so his skill, he is the Negro Bone. His skill is GB1, at the end of battle that's unit boosted. A rear guard that attacked a Vanguard. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or higher Night Rose, CB1, kill off the unit kill off the card this card boosted, and call a card with hollow in your drop zone. So you can kill out the thing in the front, and then if you call something like Negro Lazy, you can call a Negro Lazy, and the Negro Lazy can call another booster behind it to reset the entire column, which is pretty cool. So yeah, another attack enabler, another attack extender, so pretty nice there. And then this is the, it's not here, but there's the Grench from the set as well, the CC starter, which is really good. So yeah, overall thoughts on Granblue? Very solid, and they have a bunch of good cards. The obvious elephant in the room here is that this deck probably dies really, really hard against Vanquisher because they bind your entire drop zone. They'll take away all your pieces, and that's not very fun for you. So that's probably one matchup you do have to worry about. Other than that, this deck seems relatively good on paper just because being able to just mill everything you need into drop zone, just let it stay there forever. Because unlike something like let's say like Asha or Altmile, which needs stuff in deck to be called, once something's in the drop zone, as long as your matchup isn't Vanquisher, it just stays there, and so you can just keep reusing those pieces over and over again. So yeah, I think this deck is definitely very high potential. Has all the pieces it needs to be a good deck too. But I will say it's probably really expensive because you probably do need 4 Night Rose. But other than that, this deck seems relatively solid. And finally, for the last clan for this set, we have Pale Moon. So we'll go over the strides first. So first off is the Lunatic. So his skill is when your rear is called from soul plus 2k, G-flip, and he gets the following 2 skills. And this unit attacks the Vanguard. Choose 2 of your rears to put into your soul, and then choose one of your points. And then put into your opponent's soul one of their rear guards with priority back row, and then GB3 gets crit. So last skill will probably never come up unless you have 4 of this card, which even if you do, you probably don't play 4 of this card, so this skill probably never comes up because this is ideally your first stride to turbo your GB2, to turbo GB3. The put one of their rears in their soul skill is cool because for the most part, most of your cards are probably going to be put back into soul anyways with their own skills or whatever card called them out, put them back into soul anyways, so put them back yourself to get rid of one of their rears, one of their back rows pretty nice. And then the actual reason you play it is because 1, it G-flips so you can turbo GB3, and 2, because it calls stuff from, because the stuff that gets called from soul gets plus 2k, they can hit solo, they can scale better, just overall pretty nice to have. So yeah, overall I don't think it should be a GR to be perfectly honest, but it's good enough, I guess. You definitely do play it. I don't think it's particularly amazing, but it definitely is at least a 2-of in the deck. Next up we have is the Hari. So his skill is Magia and CB2, flip anything, so no need for 4 of this card, it's going to flip anything, so 2, maybe 2 is probably enough, maybe 3, but regardless, skill is CB2, flip anything, put one of your rears into soul to call 3 cards from your soul to rear, and then choose 2 of your opponent's rear and put them into their soul, and then the units you called from your soul gets put back into soul at the end of the turn. So pretty nice there, so enables a bunch of multi-attacks and stuff, gets rid of 2 of the rears in the process as well. Overall, very solid skill, and then the incentive for you to flip Haris is all your rears get plus 1k for each face of Hari in your G-zone. So obviously, ideally, you have like 4 Haris, so you can like stride, flip itself, and then next stride again flip itself, give all your rears plus an extra 3k, but for the actual functioning of this card, you do not need to flip extra Haris, so that's really, really good. I definitely think it's really, really nice that this card is not a G-flip, and has a very good skill too, so yeah. Because it's not a G-flip, you don't need 4 of it. Ideally you do have 4, but you do not need 4 of it. Really good card, you definitely play at least 2 of this card, I'd say. And finally, the last triple stride is the Amanda, so her skill is Magia, and then when using attack hits a Vanguard, Soul Charge 1, and then call a rear from Soul and give that unit plus 5k, and then at the end of the turn that unit goes back into your Soul. So your simple on-hit strat that enables extra multi-attacks. With this, you can call something like a Trapeze, Purple Trapezes, or if you're playing this in Silvertones, you can call a Zelma out, call that out, and then that card sucks something in, reset the entire column, and then at the end of turn, because that front row wasn't called by her own skill, you can just only the back row goes back, which is pretty nice. So yeah. Overall, pretty good card. Pretty solid on hit stride. Gives 5k power to it. 5k is quite a bit actually, because that lets columns just straight up scale over defensive. So pretty good card. Definitely play this. You probably do play this at like 1 to 2 copies in your G zone. And next up for grade 3s, we have the Hari, the face of Pale Moon Chi. His skill is when this unit attacks hits a Vanguard, GB2. GB2 when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, call a card from Soul, and that unit gets plus 3k. So it probably doesn't come up at all, but I guess it's there if you just can't stride and you need to somehow do extra damage. And you want to do damage, they're only at 4, but for the most part, it's just text on the card that never comes up. And then his actual skill is when your Magia, when your G unit strides on top of it, counter blast 1 to soul charge 1, and then call a rear from the soul. Give that unit 5k, and then at the end of the turn, that unit gets back into your soul, and then the usual. So when something rides on top of it, plus when this unit, when you ride this unit, plus 3k on that turn. So overall, Hari, pretty nice card, pretty good card. Definitely played in its deck, obviously. Yeah, just overall really solid. Soul charge 1, pretty cool. Give the unit 5k is pretty nice as well, and putting back to soul again can be circumvented by stuff like Trapezist, and then the Amber Clone of this deck. That card does not put the things it calls back into the soul. So yeah, definitely a really good card. Again, I don't know what any of the other grade 2s do. Other 3s do. I don't really care to read them this time. So I'm sure these cards are playable. I definitely see people play the Lion the most. So I guess that's probably your best like substitute grade 3. You could maybe try playing Legion in this deck too, because again, if you soul charge a bunch, you might end up decking out. So I don't know. I haven't tried this deck at all either. As you can clearly see, I only have 1 Hari, so definitely play around the other grade 3 stuff. But Hari itself is definitely a 4 in his deck, obviously. And then next up for grade 2s, we have over her the Jacqueline, I think is her name. Yeah, the card dealer Jacqueline. When this unit's boosted, CB1 to soul charge 1 and call a card from soul other than a copy of herself. So she's your Amber clone. She lets you keep cards in the front row if you want to. And is an attack extender, kill extender, whatever you want to call it. Really good card. No, nothing, just a really solid card, really good. This card is probably a 4 of. Next up, we have the Crescent Moon Juggler, Magia, and then on place, your Vanguard grade 3 or higher Hari. Soul Blast 1, Counter Blast 1 to Soul Charge 1, and then call a card from Soul, and then that unit gets plus 5k, and then he gets 2k, and then the card called by his effect goes back into Soul at the end of the turn. So. Calls a card from Soul, pretty cool. Soul Charge 1, pretty cool. Both cards get power, pretty cool. Definitely a pretty nice card. The Glimmer clone of this deck, how much you play? You probably definitely do play. How much you play though? Definitely need to play around the ratios, because you actually have a bunch of good grade 2s in this deck. So definitely not just like an instant 4 or anything. But overall, pretty good card. And finally, we have the Flying Parrington, GB1 Magia on play. If your Vanguard is a grade 3 or a higher Hari, you can Soul Charge 1. Then you can call a card from your Soul to another rearguard circle in the same column as this unit, and then at the end of the turn, at the end of the turn, put that unit back into your Soul. So you can definitely just use this to like reset a column during your multi attacks and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, again, seems pretty good. You probably do play it. I'm no Pale Moon expert, so I could be wrong about this. This card seems pretty good on paper to me, so yeah, all 3 triple seem relatively good. Then this is the card I do see people playing a lot, is the, what's her name? Let me just find it real quick. The Dark Side Princess. When this unit attacks, you can have her gain 5k until the end of that battle, and then if it got the 5k power, put her into Soul at the end of that battle. So can swing for 14, which is pretty good. And then it goes back to Soul. Again, you can circumvent that, so yeah. It's a pretty good card overall. Definitely see why people do play it, because getting power is always nice. And then finally for grade 1, they're getting relevant grade 1s. They have this. I do not know if this is good or not. At the end of this unit, boost the rearguard that attack the Vanguard CB1. Put the booster into the Soul to call Soul with the Magia ability. So this is like the Negro Lazy in Granblue. It's an grade 1 attack extender. Pretty cool. Again, you have ways to reset an entire column, so this card probably is played at some degree. And yeah, that is it for the set review, or the first impressions. Overall, I think Aquaforce got new decks, but the existing Zavas deck didn't really get anything new to go in it. Mainly just the 2 Commander Zavas that you probably will shove into your G zone. Granblue, I think, has really good potential to be really good. Same with Hari. I think both these decks have relatively high potential. Do I see them breaking into like tier 1 meta contenders? I think there is a chance. I'm not an expert, especially Pale Moon. I'm not an expert in Pale Moon, so I could be very wrong. That could be like broken for all I know. But Granblue definitely looks like it has potential. It has all the stuff it needs to be a good deck. Same with this deck. Both these decks are lacking resist intercepts, which I do think is a very big thing in the current meta, having a resist intercept. Neither of these decks have it, so I think that could be an issue. But overall, I think both these decks are very good. Pale Moon, the other deck in this clan is obviously Silverthorns, and Silverthorns can take all these strides. These strides are all generic, so Silverthorns could creep up from the depths of I wish they would stay dead, but yeah, new support. People love their Silverthorns, and I can definitely see people playing that. That could be really good for all I know. So yeah, that's it for my first impressions. You want TLDR? Aquaforce is good. Aquaforce got some cool support, new decks, pretty nice overall. Pale Moon has high potential, I think. Granblue has high potential, so definitely a set that looks relatively good overall as a whole. So yeah, well, that's it for this video. Tell me guys what you think about this set down below in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.